Hey there, everybody. Today we're going to break down Magicmaker. And this is something I've had the chance to play for a few weeks now. I've played it on and off, doing various things, and the dev gave me access to it early, which is very nice of them. And they go by the name of Tasty Stewdios, as you can see down here, which is a great name. I just want to point that out. And it has a very beautiful title screen. But what is it, exactly? It's something that appeared on Steam without a huge amount of notice, as a lot of smaller games do. You know, indies often don't market particularly, because they're indie studios and don't have tons of marketing dollars. But that's what people like me are for, all of us on YouTube, to kind of show off things like this and tell you if they're worth it, really, to notice. And this is one that I feel is worth noticing. So Magicmaker is a sort of 2D magic creation and exploration game, question mark. The Steam page, which I'll link you to, of course, is hilarious. The Steam store, like, description and everything is very funny. And the game also has a very striking art style and specific sense of humor, so we're gonna head in. Continue. The art style is very... it's very papercraft-esque. It reminds me a little bit of Scribblenauts, not in the way that it looks specifically, but in the way the characters move and things like that. But really, what it reminds me of is a combination of papercraft-like stuff and like everything is made out of felt. Yeah, it kind of looks like stuff is made out of felt, and this is like a craft experiment gone awry with all these various things mashed together. It's actually pretty fantastic looking. And the music is quite good as well, and what you're gonna see... yes. Bearded guy on a bridge saying you cannot pass. Yes, snake slithers, Yeah, you're going to see lots of little references and things, and a very interesting sense of humor. The game has... I agree. Miss Lena Inverse, I agree that, that you can kill anything with fire. But the game has an art style that I would call one of the main features of it, honestly, just because of... It's pretty striking. Boop, boop. Whoa. 10,000? Holy crap. But yeah. So what the game is actually about is exploring these various levels to obtain, or really just do whatever you're sent there to do. Often it's obtaining certain items and things like that, and creating spells that will help you do so. Now, my little guy here is outfitted quite well right now. You have a wand that you'll start with, and the wand can be actually pretty much your wand, your robes, and all of your spells can be just about anything, because they don't really have a specific shape at first. You build them up to be whatever you want them to be. And right now, my wand is a beam that pushes me backwards, and I can actually use that to move and things. And you can see down here, you have a couple of spell slots. I believe you can have 4, if I'm not mistaken. And you also have an artifact you can take with you, which is this little floating sword that's next to me. You have robes and a couple of other things. So really, to just get into it, let's go over here. This is a spell crafting sort of altar thing. And what you're going to see is what you get, really. You'll start with just the wand, and I believe this will have 2 slots, question mark? I'm trying to remember. I don't remember, but it's been a little while. But eventually you'll unlock various slots and spells to create things with. And it's fairly complex looking, I think, at first, but is pretty easy to figure out. So right now, it's based on materials. The materials are in 5 grades, so if I just take this off for a minute. This is my list of materials. There are a lot of them in the game. These are the ones I have right now. And every material has 5 grades, as you can see. F through A. And adding them to spells and wands does a certain thing, and adding them to robes does another thing. Now, the way these work is they will stack. So if you have multiple of the same actual material, it increases the effectiveness of that material. But right now I want my wand to be a laser, and that's what the optic lens does. So I just hit F, boom, slots it in there, and this is my wand. And this works for everything. I have something that basically fires out swords that do a huge amount of damage, cost way too much mana, and actually, essentially, it's built to just be pure burst damage. And then, of course, with this material, it makes it to where, as you can see here, enemies take increased damage from the next spell. So hitting them with that preps more damage from another spell. And then this one, which fires out these little exploding projectiles that have a big aura around them, because I put a miniature sun in there, because why wouldn't you have a miniature sun in your spells? And the list goes on. You can do this with everything, and of course your cape is, well, I say cape, your robe, is whatever you want it to be. It starts off with, you're not really, there's no gear or anything like that. You don't equip stuff. This is your equipment, all of it. So instead of having a robe or hat or set of items that you use to determine your stats are sort of always the same, and then you find new materials to slot into your robe and actually alter your stats in some way. So with this one, I can double cast spells every third spell cast. I explode after I die, and if I'm able to kill something with that explosion, I revive. I want some more max MP because the spell uses, like, way too much. And I can jump. I can quintuple jump, actually. I have 4 extra jumps after the first one, so that's awesome. And then, also, you can randomize the name, and all of these are random names because they're awesome. I love them. Soul Beam, Fission, Viper. Yeah, the name system is great. I love that. And also, of course, you have an artifact. And finishing levels will often give you a choice of an artifact if you do a certain thing, which I'll explain. And they're all pretty cool so far. The one I'm using right now is this sword. As you can see, what it'll do is damage every enemy on the screen, and the damage that it deals builds up as I kill enemies and is equal to 3 times the number of enemies I kill. Of course, it resets on you, so you can't spam it. But they all do various things. I can be extremely Canadian if I want. I like that this becomes Mary's Bottled Nothing after you use it, which is kind of great. And I've even got Navi. But yeah, that's how the system works. And what I also like is that, as you saw, there was quite a big list of things that you could put into these. And with 5 grades of each, it can be annoying to keep track of it all. So first of all, you can actually, well, there's a randomize function, which is great. And also you can save and load items, which is very, very cool. So I can just have various spells and stuff saved, and you can even save robe configurations and things like that, and load them up at any time. And also, if you happen to have a free material of a higher grade than one you currently have, a little blue button will appear right here that says upgrade. And what that'll do is it'll slot in the highest grade of the material you have. So if I say picked up a B grade Philosopher's Stone, these would shine, and I'd be able to just upgrade it, and it would automatically fill out the slots with the highest grade of item I have, which is very, very useful. And one other thing you may have noticed is that the materials also have these properties on them. Now, there's an alchemy system in the game, which is fairly simple at first, but it allows a lot of combinations, as you can see. But what you'll see here is there is an essence color and a stone color. The essences are just named after their colors, so this is Essence of Purple, which is kind of funny. And then the stones are elements, so I believe this would be a Stone of Earth. So if I combined Essence of Purple and a Stone of Earth, I should get a diamond, I believe. Let's test that theory. I don't know if I have any of those, but this is the alchemy station. You go here, and essences and stones, and all the grades, of course, which will give you that grade of item. So if I said an Essence of Purple and a Stone of Earth, yep, gives me a diamond. A grade F diamond, because I'm using both grade F materials. And doing this will eventually allow you to create something wonderful. I believe I could get a grade C diamond if I did that. Yeah, like that. Boom. And it goes on and on. You can also customize the appearance of certain things. You can, of course, customize your own appearance. You can color yourself and choose different robes and wizard hats, and I get myself a monocle because, again, the graphic style is adorable. Even the enemies in this game are adorable. But, so yeah, that's the main overview of how the game actually works, so let's just go into a level. Now, you'll see in the town, you have the map up here, there are various portals that will lead you to different sort of places, and each one has a specific theme. There's a ruin up here, it's sort of an ancient ruin. The one down there is a castle that's haunted, there's a desert, there's a forest as well, and that's the one we're going to go into. There's also an ice area, which is a bit weird, and they all have their own actual mechanics. The levels are not just themed differently, but there are mechanics in them, which I'll also get on. So here we go. This is the forest zone, and I can do free play right now. I could get an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree, yes. Again, the game has an interesting sense of humor, but free play allows you to just go into the area and kill stuff, and when you select it, there are challenges that allow you to make it more difficult for yourself, and I believe these stars might get you something if you select these challenges. But also, you have missions. So these are my missions available in the forest zone right now. I have Cleaning Up the Forest Part 2, and Long Live the Queen, which is a bonus mission. I have to kill the Fairy Queen without killing any fairies, which sounds very difficult because fairies are extremely weak and very plentiful. We'll try this one. Let's see, go in the forest and open all the treasure chests. And I also have to eliminate the giant plant monster, which is a boss. So we're going to go into it. Oh, here we go. Dragon Tree Grove. Oh, good lord. The names, as well as the actual areas themselves, are randomized every time. So the whole Dragon Tree Grove thing is a randomized name. The forest zone isn't actually always called that. It's called something different every time, which is kind of funny. And in fact, what you'll see, oh, miniature sun, is there's a level seed when you pause. So the levels are, of course, randomly generated and seeded every time. Now, and in classic sort of Metroidvania RPG style, there are lots of different types of enemies, lots of projectile dodging, status effects, everything you could really think of. The game has it all, actually, which I like very much. This area is actually very difficult for my current level of materials, but we'll keep going. I happen to know that these things heal you. So, in every area there will be 4 of these big gems. And when you collect them, it restores your stats, but also goes up top. If you fail the level and exit it, those gems will become materials that you can then use, but the main thing is if you complete the level, those gems open up extra treasure at the end. You have to defeat the boss to get to the portal that will allow you to get to those treasures, but there will be 5 treasure chests, 1 that's always unlocked, and then 4 more that are unlocked with each of those gems you collect, and they have high-grade materials in them. There is a final 6th treasure chest that will be unlocked if you got all of the gems, and it tends to have either a bunch of materials in it or a choice of artifact. So it's very, very worthwhile to find all of those in the level. So that's one way that the game actually awards exploration. And another way, it's got wind now, I'm not used to this whole wind thing. Another way is that, like I said, every level has its own mechanics. And there are various secrets and things like that. Of course, the types of enemies you'll face are going to be different in each level. And one thing you'll find is that every level has its own unique spin on certain things. For example, this level always has these standing stones in it. And if you're able to find them, it's this sort of little mini-game if you activate them in the proper order. Nope! Alright, so this one was first. No, it wasn't. Was it this one? Yeah, it was this one. Now this one? Yeah. This one. You get a bunch of stuff. And levels will have varying things like that. The mechanics actually alter quite significantly from level to level, which is interesting. Also, the bosses are themed to the level, so there's always a sort of plant-based boss in the forest levels, but the bosses are not always the same, which is very interesting. There are often little mini-bosses that you can find in the levels that aren't necessarily something you have to kill every time you go to one of those, but you can find them. For instance, the ice level, you'll see a room filled with ice mirrors, and actually going there and will summon up your, like, evil shadow for a mini-boss fight. It's not something you have to do, but it's fun. And as you can see, that mini-boss fight was actually the Fairy Queen, and it got me one of the gems. So in other words, it's not something I had to do to beat this level, but it's a good idea, because it gets me more loot. And since there is literally no other method of progression in the game, there are no levels, there's no experience bar or anything like that, loot is how you get more powerful directly, then it's very important for you to actually get loot. The materials are your sole method of actually making yourself more powerful. Well, I guess there are, of course, also the artifacts, but those aren't things that you can rely on to make an entire character build around, like, strictly. You need the materials to make better spells and your robe better and things like that. And the game goes on like this. Basically, you'll be exploring the different areas and doing various jobs for this magical academy that may or may not appreciate you as a person. And the boss is actually up there. That's the boss arena. So we're not going to do that yet. Some other examples of the mechanics you'll find is that, say, the desert level will have sandstorms that hurt you if you're outside when they appear. The couple bosses I've fought have been very difficult in the desert area. It also has often very large numbers of very small enemies. There are the chests right there. And they can be a real pain, for sure. But also, there are lots of sort of underground vaults that you can explore, as well as a pretty great sort of flat above-ground sandy expanse where you're likely to encounter the boss in. And even in this level, you can see one of the mechanics is that there are easy-to-destroy beehives everywhere that spawn way too many bees. Uh-oh. Oh god, this isn't good. This isn't good at all. I am not doing very well right now. I'd like to save my artifacts at a high charge for the boss, because the boss is made up of a fairly good number of different parts, and they'll do a significant amount of damage to him. But this artifact is also very good for killing a lot of enemies at once if you're, like, swamped by them. But you have to be able to stand still for a full second to actually activate it. So, yeah, you're going to make your own builds from whatever materials you can find. And every level, of course, has its own materials as well. The castle is haunted with lots of ghosts. It is very dark there and difficult to see. There are actually specific materials that are built to give you more vision in the dark, if you want to use those there. You don't have to, but it is very useful. That's why I have a second robe configuration saved, the ghostly cloak. So that's something I use every time I go into the castle levels. The ruins levels are actually very different because they have a very Metroidvania, or actually just really just Castlevania-esque layout that really reminds me of the castle itself, with a lot of pitfalls and very weird directions that you have to go. There are rooms that'll be locked off with a little puzzle when you enter them. Like you have to scoot a crystal along a certain path in order to actually sort of lower the force fields and let you get out of that particular room. There will be various puzzles like that, and also the boss spawns as soon as you get there, which is weird. It's different from the other levels because every other level has a boss arena that you go in and actually fight it. The ruins, the boss spawns at first. I think I've seen 4 different kinds of boss so far for the ruins. They're each similar, but not the same. And it spawns as soon as you get in there and will attack you relentlessly throughout the entire ruins. Every time you go away from these little crystals, you'll hear whispering. In the sides of your screen, you'll start to see these little white kind of whispers around it. And eventually, if you let that go on without finding one of these crystals, the boss will come and attack you. Those crystals, if you stand near them, will ward the boss away for a while. But eventually, what you'll find is that there's a specific chamber in the ruins that will have a... There's the final crystal. I was waiting to find it. Oh no! It's a Diablo treasure goblin! There we go. Yes, there will be a room in the ruins that will allow you to do a little puzzle and seal away the boss, and that's how you actually find the portal out of the level, because you can't kill the boss. So, again, every level, even though you would think that it's the same game, yes, but every level is actually significantly different in the way that it approaches itself, which is something that's really neat. I haven't seen that a lot. I haven't seen games where the mechanics of each sort of world you go to are so drastically different. It almost reminds me of playing a Mario game or something, where, of course, mechanics are introduced sort of by level theme. And that's actually kind of the vibe this game gives me in a weird way. I really like that. That's not something I see very often. It's cool. What it also reminds me of course, is other Metroidvania-style games. Even though it isn't necessarily one of those, although you could say that there are certain randomly generated areas that can be very difficult to reach without the proper materials in your robe. Like, say, of course, the fairy wings allowing me to jump 5 times is a pretty big deal. There are also things that allow you to stick to walls, I believe. There's actually a lot of variety in the materials, which I like a lot. That's something that this game really needs, you know, is variety in materials. Since that's pretty much your sole method of... Uh-oh, it's the deadly plant thing. Spinous Windmane! Even the names are randomly generated, which is great, but the titles remain the same to help you. Alright, we're gonna... Oh, God! Ah! It really is Mario! Alright. Okay. Okay, don't want to get killed. Don't want to get killed. Eh! Take that. Yeah. Oh. If I had a bomb to throw... Oh. Can I actually... Nah. I lose. I couldn't kill him with the explosion because the wind kept me away from his tentacles. Extremely poor gardening skills was why I was fired. Unfortunate. So, yeah. That's how that works. And the game continues on like this. That sucks. May need some better materials, or I may just need to suck less. So those gems are going to give me some materials because I didn't reach the end because I suck. And your day goes on. Yep. At the Dorwell Academy. So this is how the game goes, folks. If you would like to play it, it is on Steam right now, and it has a demo. So you can try it out. The demo, I've been told, is pretty good at showing you, you know, what you can expect from a game like this. It's a very cute-looking game with a pretty good sense of humor. The humor reminds me a bit of Disgaea, with a little bit less of that cynical bite that the Disgaea humor has. And, you know, it goes on. So if this is something you would like to check out, you can go into the description of the video and see what happens. Uh-oh. Oh. Upgrade! Yeah. Can I upgrade anything else? No? Okay. So yeah, go into the description, go to the Steam page, try it out, and of course, try the demo if you want. It that usurps. Shrine of the Mighty Path. Here we are. One of the sort of temple levels. And hopefully this has been a pretty good... Oh god, this yeah, I'm not ready for this at all. This is like a 5th level thing. I don't have the materials for this. But anyway, that's how the game works, guys. Hopefully it's something that, if you're interested in, you can pick up for yourself, because it's actually pretty unique. And a level like this is not something I'm ready for. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.